Welcome back to another episode on the MLD Balls page. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about one of the worst teams of all time last year, the Detroit Pistons. Like I said, we're going to be talking about one of the worst teams of all time last season. And to any Detroit Pistons fan, I'm sorry that's how I'm introducing y'all. But y'all know it yourselves. We're in the year 2024. And this next season or the 2025 season, you're out of this toxic relationship with Monty Williams. It's like when a girl tells you she just wants to be friends and you force her into a relationship. They knew Monty Williams didn't want to be their coach. He told him he didn't want to be their coach. He said, I do not want to coach at this moment. And what did they do? They offered him the biggest contract in NBA history. They forced him into that relationship. And what did he do? He self-sabotaged. He benched Lasar Thompson. He had no spacing in lineups for Kade Cunningham. He was changing their starting lineups every week. They were losing, and they were like trying to be competitive. It made no sense. He was starting older players who weren't a part of their future while they're losing 27 games in a row. Like at least have the Asar Thompson in the lineup the whole time while you're losing all those games. He had Killian Hayes starting, and that losing streak, like I said, they ended up losing 27 games in a row. That was really bad, and honestly deserved by the Detroit Pistons, because like I said, if a girl tells you she doesn't want to be in a relationship and you force it, you deserve everything that comes your way, man. And look, you're just being selfish. The Pistons wanted something that didn't want them, and now they got a head coach who he seems like, hey, this is a job that I want to have. The Cleveland Cavaliers in him wasn't a match. I don't really know too much about JB Bickerstaff, I'm going to be honest. But one thing I do know is Monty Williams was a bad coach. I thought about it when he was on the Suns. Even when they made the finals, I thought it was in spite of Monty Williams. I thought Chris Paul was their real mind. Monty Williams, he never really impressed me. JB Bickerstaff, I never really have a problem with him. When I watch games, I don't see him have any glaring problems. At the same time, that Cavaliers team, their starting five was so set that even us, we could have made that starting five. But I guess, but even when I watch Cavaliers games, in game, I don't see him do anything glaringly wrong. He's just a normal head coach, middle of the pack, and that's a good thing to have, because Monty Williams was one of the worst coaches of all time, in my opinion, last year. And like I said, he was self-sabotaging. He did not want to be there. JB Bickerstaff, the start of this relationship isn't the same as the Monty Williams one. He willingly got hired by them. Seems like the job he wanted, one of the jobs he wanted, and the main thing that his goal should be is this guy right here, Kade Cunningham. Kade Cunningham last season, he looked amazing. His rookie year, he was a rookie. His second year, he was hurt. In his third year, he was elite in the mid-range, like one of the best mid-range shooters. His jump shot is a little funky, I'll say that, but I liked Kade this year. He impressed me a lot this season. His second year, like I said, he was hurt, so he couldn't show much. First year, he was a rookie, but this guy was the number one overall pick. Good playmaker, good scorer, very versatile. He could play the 1, 2, to 3. That's a nice thing to have, and that's the only thing that Monty Williams dove into last season that I liked. He was using Kade at point. He was using Kade at shooting guard. He was using Kade at small forward. He was right about that, but that's it. That's literally it. One thing about Kade, though, I want him to play looser. He looks stiff out there, man. His jump shot stiff. Sometimes his handle looks a bit stiff. Sometimes he looks stiff. I want him to play looser, but at the same time, it's hard to play loose when you have as little spacing as he did. If this team could create more spacing at their starting lineup, or in just lineups where you build them around Kade, that would be a great thing. And honestly, spacing is something every NBA team should want, especially at this point of the NBA where defenses understand how to exploit matchups better. Having spacing for Kade is just something that's necessary, and it's necessary for every single team. I understand this team isn't at the point of their team building where they're trying to go all in for a championship, but at least you got to go all in for Kade and see what you got in him, because you don't want when his 6 year coming into the NBA, and you're still like, but what if we get him some spacing? He'll look better. No, you want to get him the spacing and see what he is. You want to know what Kate is going into next year, and I think he has the capabilities of showing that he's a legit all-star. Last year, he impressed me a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Shout out to Cade Cunningham. And let's get into this depth chart. I would start Cade at the one because everything I said, elite mid range, not even everything I said. We all know Cade is starting at the one. At the two, Malik Beasley, I personally think he's a lights out shooter who fits next to Cade Cunningham. Like I said, I want spacing next to Cade. And Malik Beasley, he offers that and more, man. Like, he's an absolute knockdown. He shot 41% from three last year. The amount of attempts he was shooting was pretty well, too, because let me look it up right now. I don't know. I don't know. He shot 41% from three, and his attempts was at 7. So yeah, the past 2 years, or literally 7 attempts last year, was the least amount of attempts he's had in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. In 6 years, 7 attempts was his least, and he shot it at 41%. That's a great thing to have next to Cade. Be his Buddy Hield, and then you have Asar Thompson, who last year he was shut down, unfortunately, due to blood clots. Hopefully, Asar Thompson can stay healthy. Amen. And prayers out to you. And by amen, I'm actually meaning like amen, not his brother. Prayers out to Asar. But hopefully he can stay healthy, because this guy, to me, he reminds me of a Sean Marion. I love the way that Asar plays. He's a gritty defender. He's so versatile. He literally could guard any position. He can't shoot, and he's a great hustle player. He gets those rebounds. He does all the little things. You love that in these type of players, especially on offense. He's a decent playmaker. It's something underrated in his game. He could play make a little bit, and I like a lot of that stuff out of Asar. So hopefully he could figure out what's going on with his health, because that's the most important thing in life. Your health is important. So find that out first, because I think on the basketball court, he knows what he is and he embraces it. And I love that for him. At the power forward position, new signee, came back to where it all started. Tobias Harris. Yeah, this guy is the Kirk Cousins of the NFL. This guy is mid, but it's like he's good though. Like, mid is a good thing, especially when you're on a team that won 14 games last year. If you could get a mid player, that's an improvement, because honestly, they had bad players. So Tobias Harris, at least they're trying. At least they're trying. And Tobias Harris, we'll figure out what he is. But no matter what, he's going to be a positive on both ends of the court. He's going to be a positive on offense, spacing-wise, on offense, scoring-wise, and on defense. And rebounding. Like, Tobias Harris, he does nothing but improves this team. It's not... Man, Tobias Harris is a good signing. It's a mid signing. Tobias Harris is good. And then at the center position, they got Jalen Duran. Jalen Duran is like a mini Dwight Howard to me. Maybe I'm saying that because it's just everything, man. But the skill. Everything but the skill. The way he walked, the way he talked, he just reminds me of Dwight Howard. But obviously, he's not as good. Obviously, don't got to argue that. Good rebounder, good paint defender, great lob threat, good dunker, very athletic. And I think Jalen Duran is someone, me personally, as a fan, I'm not a Pistons fan, but a basketball fan. I think they have the 1 and the 5 spot, solidified. I don't think you really need to improve your Jalen Duran spot. He's going to be in the NBA for a while. And then off the bench, you got Jaden Ivey as your 6th man. I think Jaden Ivey could be a starter. I understand if he does, but the amount of spacing difference from Jaden Ivey to Malik Beasley, it's huge. It's drastic. Jaden Ivey doesn't shoot that many threes, and he knocks them down at like a 31% clip, while Malik Beasley, he will sit in that corner for you and just shoot about 7 of them at 40%. I think that's a big thing to have. Jaden Ivey, he might play more minutes throughout the game, but Malik Beasley will come into that starting lineup and he'll just fit, And Jaden Ivey, he could be the leader of the bench. We're going to see what we have in Jaden Ivey also. Like there's 2 different rosters almost, I want to say. Like Cade Cunningham, you're going to see what you got in him with that starting lineup. And then Jaden Ivey, you're gonna let him cook off the bench and see what you got on him off the bench. And then he could get promoted if he improves his 3-pointer for sure. Jaden Ivey, like I said, great player. He was drafted fifth or sixth overall that one year with Benedict Mathurin and them boys. And he's very athletic, great at getting down the hill. And I just want more spacing in that starting lineup. Only reason he's coming off the bench, he probably is a better player than Malik Beasley, and he's younger for a rebuilding team. But we're rebuilding, and the number one goal of this team is not Jaden Ivey. It's Cade Cunningham. We want to build around Cade Cunningham and want to see what we have in him. I understand Jaden Ivey is someone you want to see what you got in him also, but he can come off the bench and we can still get those results that we want. Marcus Sasser is a guy who last year I thought he should have been starting just because of, like I'm saying, that team needs a lot of shooting. It just needs it badly. And his rookie year, man, he was shooting so well. I believe he's another guy who shot 40%. I'm not even going to look it up. I'm just going to believe the fact that I watch games and, dude, he was shooting lights out. Okay, I was wrong. I searched it up. He shot 38%. But when I was watching him, man, he was a good shooter. That 38% to me could improve. And if he becomes a 40% shooter, that's a great thing to have alongside Cade Cunningham. And he was shooting 3.5 a game. So that's cool. Off the bench, especially, that's great. Then we have Big Stu. That boy Stu is gritty. Hey, if you don't believe me, ask LeBron. Boy, him and Bron was, you know. But he's a good shooter, especially at the 4 through 5 position. He can knock down shots. He's, like I said, he's a hustle player, gritty, and solid shooter. And if you could have that at the power 4 to 5 positions, you could run 5 out sometimes if you want to put him at the center position. You know, he shot 38% from 3. It might not have been on that many attempts, but like 38% from 3 is a good thing to have. Honestly, he shot more than Marcus Sasser, and I think highly of Marcus Sasser as a shooter. He shot 3.8 3-pointers a game at a 38% clip. That is great from your big man, you know. And if he can keep doing that, bro, they can come off the bench with a 5-out lineup. And like I'm saying, I want more spacing for Cade. If he could go from having multiple negative spacers to possibly running 5-out lineups, I wonder how easy can he score? Because the thing about the NBA is you got to get easy baskets, man. You got to get layups sometimes. Like, they making it so difficult for Cade. He got to earn his buckets. And that's why I was watching Cade last year, and I was like, yo, this guy is nice. Like, he has to earn every single bucket the hard way, man. Ain't nothing easy for this guy, and he wasn't doing that bad. And then we got Simeon F. How I look at him is like those Pokemons, like you know how you have upgraded versions of Pokemons, but the same card. I see 3 of these players in the same light. You have Larry Markkinen, who's the upgraded version. You have Michael Porter Jr., who's the normal version, and you have Simeon, who's the, you know, he's a little bit downgraded version of them. But like I said, he is that same type of player, and he plays off the ball great, and he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands to be effective. He's a good shooter. And yeah, I think Simeon I'm so happy that they didn't let him walk. I was kind of scared that they got him for no reason, but he shot 43% from the 3 in his time with the Pistons and 15 points per game. Like I said, if Cade could have a guy who could shoot 40%, bro, look how much points he can have, because Cade generates looks for these guys, and he just wasn't having guys that can knock him down. This team is getting some guys that can knock down threes, which is something that I like. I like that a lot for them. And then you have 2 shooters. Are they shooters? If they're not shooters, you know, like I said, this team isn't in championship mode, I guess. So it's whatever. With Evan Fournier and Tim Hardaway Jr., like, if one of those guys can knock down their shots, hey, let's go. But if both of them can't knock down their shots, you know, it's just whatever. We're gonna replace y'all next season. We're gonna see what we got in y'all, because y'all were a part of trades that, you know, we just had to throw you in. But if you can knock down your threes for us, thank you. You know, thank you. But I don't know if it's gonna happen. Tim Hardaway, like, his shot just disappeared in the playoffs at the end of the season. He started off so hot too. Tim Hardaway, he usually could knock down some shots. I don't know. We'll see what Tim Hardaway is like shooting the ball. Same with Evan Fournier. Same story, man. Paul Reed, he's a power forward who he specializes in nothing. Honestly, he's just like an all around player who just gets minutes. Like, Paul Reed, he isn't bad though. He's just an all around player. Like that's what he specializes in, and he specializes in doing everything a little bit. And then you have Malachi Flynn, who last year he just dropped the most random 50 piece in the NBA last year during March. I know it was during March too because when I saw his name, I thought it was like some March Madness going off. I was like, oh, March Madness getting lit because I was at work. I wasn't like watching games. I just got the notification and I was like, dang, that college player going crazy. And then I turned off my phone and went back to work. And then I sat there and thought, like, isn't Malachi Flynn in the NBA? Wait, hold on, let me search. Isn't that the redhead? I searched it up, and yeah, we got the Malachi Flynns of the world dropping 50. But it's in March. That's around the same time where you get your D'Angelo Russell improvements. You get your Jalen Green improvements. You get your Andrew Wiggins improvements. That's the time of the year where the guys who we ain't gonna get too much into that, but the March Hoopers. Well, y'all know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know the March Hoopers. And then the two last pieces of this team, we got Ron Holland and Bobby Clintman. I don't know too much about Bobby Clintman. I'll admit that. He is a high second round pick who's 6'9" and can shoot the ball. Like I said, if this team could get players that could shoot the ball, and it seemed like that was their priority this offseason with players. So that's a very good thing. Very good thing. I'm happy to see that by the Pistons because year 4 Kade, we don't want any excuses. I don't want this. He didn't have spacing excuse because, bro, he's about to be in the NBA for half a decade after this year. And you're telling me you couldn't get him spacing in half a decade? Just get him spacing, see who he is, because I think Kade has the ability to be an all-star, all-NBA type of player, but we're going to see what he is. Just let him get that spacing. Let him get his space to see him cook. And I think y'all could have something really, really nice in Kade, especially with how he was playing last year. Just get him some spacing. And then the rookie who they took high in the draft, what did they take? Ron Holland 5th overall. This is a guy who I did do my homework on a little bit. Ron Holland is 18 years old. He's super raw. That's one thing about him. 6'8", 206 pounds. He is a legit small forward build. One of those great small forward builds. And in the future, hopefully, if he could improve his jumper, you could start him and Asar together, and that defensive duo would be insane, bro. That wing defense would be insane, bro. Really would. He's an athletic freak, a relentless slasher, good in transition, versatile defender. Like, he has the same pros and cons of Jaylen Brown when he was getting drafted. Athletic mob he's a project pick. He's very raw, and he, like I said, is relentless at getting to the basket. I love how aggressive he is. And during the summer league, he was playing both sides of the ball very well, very well. Just reminds me a lot of a raw Jaylen Brown. Reminds me of a Rondé Hollis Jefferson. If you go back and watch Rondé in that FIBA last year, he was getting his buckets the way I imagined Ron Holland getting his. He was just attacking the rim. Just he doesn't care who's in front of him. He's going to the basket. He's going to the basket. He knows he's going to the basket. The other team, everyone knows he's going to the basket, and he's still going there. I like that. And in transition, dude, holy, like, he's an athletic freak who's a relentless slasher. We don't even have to talk about how good he is getting buckets and transition. It's honestly amazing. He's a versatile defender. Like I said, he could guard probably every position besides like the Joel Embiids of the world. Ron Holland is very smart on defense. He knows when to poke the ball. Like, I like his defensive upside a lot. And the things that are questionable about him, like I said, the same things that even to this day you question Jaylen Brown about is 3-point shooting. Not as much because that's where he, as a player, took a stride. I don't want to just compare him to Jaylen Brown because that's a Finals MVP. I'm not saying he's going to be a Finals MVP, a perennial All NBA player. I'm just saying his play style is like these guys. He's a weak 3-point shooter. His playmaking and turnovers are his issues. He's not a good playmaker. He turns the ball over almost as much as he gets assists, and that's something Jaylen Brown to this day still deals with. Rondé Hollis, Jefferson, and those guys are, like I said, athletic freaks. Jason Richardson is an athletic freak. The thing about Jason Rich is his three-pointer improved. And if Ron Holland can improve his three-pointer, these are the type of guys. These are his scenarios. He's either going to be or this is the scenarios for every single NBA player. You're either going to be an all NBA player, you're going to be an all-star, you're going to be a bench player, or you're going to be out the league, and these guys are this play style with those scenarios. I don't know what Ron Holland's going to be. Actually, I lied. I do know what Ron Holland is going to be. He's going to be the next Ron Holland. We don't know what he's going to be, but his play style is very reminiscent of these guys. And yeah, if Ron Holland could just find a way to get in the starting lineup, I don't know where it would be. But if you could just think about a spot for Jaylen Brown on this team, probably where Ron Holland would go. Maybe when Tobias Harris' contract expires in 2 years, you put Asar to the power forward position, which I do think Asar is just like a legit forward because, like I said, he's a great rebounder he's great in the paint, and then you can have Ron Holland at small forward. And then you get a shooter next to Kade. It maybe not still be Malik Beasley. Maybe we'll see what they get over there. But even if Asar and his blood cloth is still an issue, you could plug and play Ron Holland. Like him and Ron Holland are not the same exact players, but they're similar. Of course, Asar has the playmaking. I think his playmaking is a positive actually. His turnovers is a positive, but like I said, they're similar. They're not. Nobody's the exact same player. Everybody's their own person at the end of the day. But Ron Holland, like I said, pro comps for me is Jaylen Brown, Rondé Hollis Jefferson, Jason Richardson, and Stanley Johnson. Athletic freak, relentless slasher, good in transition, and is a versatile defender. And yeah, that's all I got to say about the Detroit Pistons. This team, we'll see where they end off next year. I don't think this is going to be a team that gets into that play-in race. I don't. And if they do, man, that means somebody popped off. Either it's Ron Holland or it's Cade Cunningham taking like an all-NBA leap. But in the East, we have the Celtics, we have the Knicks, we have the Bucks, we have the Cavs, we have the Magic, we have the Pacers, we have the 76ers. We are those maybe. Is there any other teams that's like definitely the Heat? If I didn't say the Heat, that's 8 teams automatically. That's automatically better than them. We'll see with the Pistons then. Maybe they can make one of those final 2 playing spots because those final 2 playing spots, they're going to be fighting with the Hawks, the Hornets. Maybe the Pistons can make the play-in, huh? Maybe. Well, maybe. Hey, Pistons fan, we'll see. But those final 2 spots in the East are open. Do y'all think y'all gonna get one of them? Let me know in the comment section. And everybody, thank you for tuning into this video and have a nice day and God bless.